Thank you for that. Jai Parikashi Shri Guru Gaurachandra Jai Shri Kirat Govardhan Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Hari Bhajaka Acharya Astata Sita Shri 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 Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa.
Yeah, sorry.
Hari Bhajaka Acharya Astata Sita Shri Shri Bhakti Sri Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Welcome to Sri Caitanya Charitamrta morning class. Dandavat. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jita Parakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragatam Tam Stam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Harijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunvitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Jai Jai Shri Rupa Goswami Ki Jai Shri Rupa Nuga Guvarga Ki Jai. So I don't have anything like a microphone. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Jai Shri Caitanya Charitamrta Ki Jai Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Ki Jai Srila Om Vishnupadesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai.
Hare Prabhu. Do you mind? I have my cup right in there.
Yeah, do you want water?
Suradipu Sudisham Urojakokan Ukakamalani Chakedayan Akanda Chiramakila Surich Chakoranandi Disatu Mukunda Yasasa Shimudanga. The beautiful moonlight glories of Mukunda give distress to the lotus-like faces of the wives of the demons, and to their raised breasts, which are like gleaming chakravaka birds. Those glories, however, are pleasing to all his devotees, who are like chakora birds. May those glories forever give pleasure to you all. So this is the first verse of Act 1 of the Lalita Madhava. Dvitiya Nandike Hadeki Raya Puchila Sankocha Panya Rupa Padite Lahila. When Srila Ramananda Rai further inquired about the second introductory verse, Srila Rupa Goswami was somewhat hesitant, but nevertheless he began to recite. Nija pranaitam suddham udayam wa apnuvan kakshitau kiratyalam uri krita dvija kuladiraja stiti salunchita tamastatir mama sachi sutakya shasi vasi krita chaganmana kim api sa sharma vinyas yatu. I'm sorry that I don't know this meter, but the moon-like Supreme Personality of Godhead, who was known as the son of Mother Shachi, has now appeared on earth to spread devotional love of himself. He is the emperor of the Brahmin community. He could drive away all the darkness of ignorance and control the mind of everyone in the world. What was that last line?
I can control the mind
Yeah, are you coming over?
Yes,
He can drive away all the darkness of ignorance and control the mind of everyone in the world. So we were just talking about this earlier in the songs. To really understand everything that is to be understood by us, by the decision of the Lord, is necessary to surrender. Because He's the one who can control the mind. That is real control of the mind. To try to control the mind like the Gyanis do, and to leave the Lord out, this is not really mental control. May that rising moon bestow upon us all good fortune. That rising moon of Mahaprabhu. This is the third verse of Act 1 of the Lalita Madhava. Shuniya Prabhura Jadi Antare Ulas Ulas Bahire Kahena Kichukari Roshavas. Although Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was inwardly greatly pleased when he heard this verse, externally he spoke as if angry. Kaha Tamara Krishna Rasa Kavya Shuddha Sindhu Taramaje Mityakene Stuti Kshara Bindu. Your exalted poetic descriptions of the mellows of Lord Krishna's pastimes are like an ocean of nectar. But why have you put in a false prayer about me? It is like a drop of detestable alkali. So Mahaprabhu is saying this to Rupa Goswami. Your exalted poetic description of the mellows of Lord Krishna's pastimes are like an ocean of nectar. But why have you put in a false prayer about me? He's expressing that this is nonsense. It is like a drop of detestable alkali. Rayakahi rupera kavya amritera pura taramaje akabindu diache karpura. Sri Ramananda Rai objected, it is not alkali at all. It is a particle of camphor. He has put into the nectar of his exalted poetic expression. So when Srila Prabhupada taught us how to make sweet rice, he said you take as much camphor as can go on the end of a pin, and you put that in there, and then it makes it very, very nice. So Ramananda Rai is saying, it is that verse is like a drop of camphor that has made this even more exalted. Prabhu kahe rai tomara ihate ula sunite laja loke kare upaha. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, my dear Ramananda Rai, you are jubilant at hearing these poetic expressions, but I'm ashamed to hear them. For people in general will joke about the subject of this verse. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, my dear Ramananda Rai, you are jubilant at hearing these poetic expressions, but I'm ashamed to hear them. For people in general will joke about the subject of this verse. Like someone may be very embarrassed if someone is giving them some praise. So Mahaprabhu was like that. He's saying, people are going to laugh at this. Raika helo kera sukha ihara shravane abhishta devera smriti mangala charane. Ramananda Rai said, instead of joking, people in general feel great pleasure in hearing such poetry. For the initial remembrance of the worshipable deity invokes good fortune. He's saying, you are the worshipable deity. Why will anyone feel unhappy to hear that? Raika heko ange pratrera pravesha tabe rupa gosai kaheta haravishesha. Ramananda Rai inquired, by which subdivision of style do the players enter? Rupa Goswami then began to speak specifically about this subject. So this is another element of proper playwriting, is that there are different styles through which the players enter. And which style did you use? Natata kirata rajam nihacharanga stalikela nidina samaitena videyam gunavatita rakaragrahanam. While dancing on the stage, after having killed the ruler of uncivilized men, Kamsa, Lord Krishna, master of all arts, will at the proper time accept the hand of Srimati Radharani, who is qualified with all transcendental attributes. So this is the environment in which all of this is happening. Udgatya kanamane amukha vidyanga tumara age kahi iha darstyera taranga. This introduction excuse me, is technically called Udgatyaka, and the whole scene is called Viti. You are so expert in dramatic expression that each of my statements before you is like a wave from an ocean of impudence. You know the word impudent? Like if you're in front of a senior person and you're showing off, this kind of thing.
That is impudence?
That would be an example of impudence. So Ramananda Rai is asking some question to Srila Rupa Goswami about this drama. And he's saying, my answer is like an ocean of impudence in front of you. You already know all these things. And here I am explaining this like I'm telling you something.
They were very humble. Huh?
Oh, very. In this connection, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur again quotes the following verse from the Sahitya Darpana. The technical names for 5 kinds of introductory scenes of the drama are listed as Udgatyaka, Katodgata, Prayogatisaya, Pravartaka, and Avalagita. When Sri Ramananda Roy inquired which of these 5 Srila Rupa Goswami had used to accomplish the technical introduction to his drama Lalita Madhava, Rupa Goswami replied that he had used the introduction technically called Udgatyaka. According to the Bharati Vritti, 3 technical terms are called Prarochana Vritti and Prahasana. Thus Rupa Goswami also mentioned Vritti, which is a technical term for a certain type of expression. Anyway, these are technical things for how properly everything is done in dramas. Because these dramas, we have to remember, are not just some kind of ordinaries. These are the revelations of divine pastimes. And there are certain beautiful poetic ways in which these things are done nicely. Just like when we're doing our puja, there are certain ways that we have some understanding of how to do things with cleanliness and so many things, and certain beautiful ways of decorating the deity, always checking that the clothing he's wearing looks very beautiful and favorable upon him, and all these things. So in the same way, this type of drama has certain moods and certain forms. Text 186. Pandani tvagatartani tadarta gataye nara yo jayanti pade ranyai sauda tyaka uchate. To explain an unclear word, men generally join it with another word. Such an attempt is called udgatyaka. This verse is quoted from the Sahitya Darpana. Raikai kaha age angera vishesha Shri Rupa kahena kichu sankshepa udesha When Ramananda Rai requested Srila Rupa Goswami to speak further about various portions of the play, Srila Rupa Goswami briefly quoted his Lalita Madhava. Haring udisate rajavara purata sangam mai yatyamum tamaha prajavama dristam napa padati prakata sarva drisha shuterapi. The dust from cows and calves on the road creates a kind of darkness, indicating that Krishna is returning home from the pasture. Also, the darkness of evening provokes the gopis to meet Krishna. Thus, the pastimes of Krishna and the gopis are covered by a kind of transcendental darkness, and are therefore impossible for ordinary scholars of the Vedas to see. So what are the two examples of darkness? One is when Krishna is returning home, there's a kind of darkness because all the cows are running and there's a kind of dust, like a cloud. And also when the sun is setting and the darkness is coming, this is also there to indicate that it is time for so many different kinds of divine pastimes between Krishna and the gopis. So there's a kind of darkness around the wonder of Krishna's pastime. So ordinary people cannot, it is like a showing. There's a transcendental darkness which makes it impossible for ordinary people to see those, or ordinary even scholars of the Vedas to see those pastimes. This verse on the Lalita Madhava is spoken by Purnamasi in a conversation with Gargi. I believe Gargi is the wife of Gargamuni. Krishna states in the Bhagavad Gita, Trai gunya vishaya veda nishtrai gunyo vavarjuna. Thus he advised Arjuna to rise above the modes of material nature, for the entire Vedic system is filled with descriptions involving Sattvagun, Rajagun, and Tamagun. So as Gurudev said, the Vedas are coming from the channel from Krishna, but Krishna is always dismissing the Veda, because they are not giving the transcendental knowledge for the most part. People are generally covered by the quality of Rajaguna and therefore unable to understand the pastimes of Krishna with the gopis of Braja. Moreover, the quality of Tamaguna further disturbs their understanding. In Vrindavan, however, although Krishna is covered by the hazy darkness of the dust, the gopis can nevertheless understand that within that dust storm is Krishna. Because they are his topmost devotees, they can perceive his hand in everything. Thus, even in the dark or in a hazy storm of dust, devotees can understand what Krishna is doing. The purport of this verse is that under no circumstance is Krishna ever lost to the vision of exalted devotees like the gopis. So this may be darkness to the Vedic scholars, but the gopis know perfectly well that Krishna is existing within everything. Priyam avagriya grihebhya karshati radam vanaya nanipuna nat sajayati nishvistarta vadavansaja kakaliduti. May the sweet sound of Lord Krishna's flute, his authorized messenger, be glorified, for it expertly releases Srimati Radharani from her shyness and attracts her from her home to the forest. So that everyone is always glorifying Krishna's flute, because Krishna's flute is actually the sound of Krishna's flute is not a sound that we know. but it is actually engaging all the devotees. It is giving them their divine connection in the play of Krishna. And of course, in the highest sense, for the Braja Gopis. This verse is from the Lalita Madhava. It is spoken by Gargi, the daughter of Garga Muni. Of course, that makes more sense. Gargi is the daughter of Garga Muni. Sahachari niratanka koyam yuva madira dutir prajabu vikuta prapto madyan matanga javi brahmaha ahaha tatule utsarpad vir Drig anchala tashkaren mamadriti danam cheta kosar vilunta tiha yaha. My dear friend, who is this fearless young man? He is as bright as a lightning cloud, and he wanders in his pastimes like a maddened elephant. From where has he come to Vrindavan? Alas, by his restless movements and attractive glances, he's plundering from the vault of my heart the treasure of my patience. Purport. This is a verse from Lalita Madhava 2:11. It is spoken by Srimati Radharani to her friend Lalita Devi. Any questions so far? Vihara sura dirghika mama mana karindra syava Ilochana tarorayor sarar amanda chandra pava urumbara tatasya chabarana charu taravali mayum nata manoratariyam alambi sararika. Srimati Radharani is the Ganges in which the elephant of my mind enjoys pastimes. She is the shining of the full autumn moon for the chakora birds of my eyes. Who is speaking, do you think? She is the dazzling ornament, the bright and beautiful arrangement of stars on the border of the sky of my chest. So now today I have gained Srimati Radharani because of the highly elevated state of my mind.
The Lord is talking.
Yes, the Lord is speaking.
The Lord is speaking.
So this is in, all of these verses are an answer to the question by Ramananda Rai about the pastimes of Radha and Krishna and how they are being expressed in the plays. And so these qualities of Srimati Radharani and Krishna and their expressions about each other, those are being expressed in the play to show something about this. Well, so much. But of course, how much will we see? I don't know. But, so, he's saying today I have the association of Radharani because of the elevated state of my mind. So in other words, he's thinking, I've become so fortunate because of some some fortunate quality I am giving this association. This verse from the Lalita Madhava expresses the thoughts of Lord Krishna in relation to Radharani. Eta shuni rayaka he prabhuracharane ruperaka vitva prasangsi sahasravadane. After hearing this, Srila Ramananda Rai submitted at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu the super excellence of Srila Rupa Goswami's poetic expression and began to praise it as if he had thousands of mouths. Kavitva nahaya e amitera dara nataka lakshana shava siddhantera shara. Srila Ramananda Rai said, this is not a poetic presentation. It is a continuous shower of nectar. Indeed, it is the essence of all ultimate realizations appearing in the form of plays. So all the time this is being very much emphasized by our gurus. These are not like ordinary poetry that somebody's imagination can come out in some kind of poetic form. These are, no, this is a shower of nectar, and it is the essence of all ultimate realizations. Vibom. So we'll continue tomorrow. Oh, we can go over a little bit tonight. Prema paripati e adhuta varnana shunichita karnera hoy ananda varnana. The wonderful descriptions of Rupa Goswami are superb arrangements to express loving affairs. The wonderful description of Rupa Goswami, meaning by Rupa Goswami, are superb arrangements to express loving affairs. Hearing them will plunge the heart and ears of everyone into a whirlpool of transcendental bliss. Kim kavyena kavestasya Kim kandena danusmata parasya hridaye lagnam nagurnayati yachchira. What is the use of a bowman's arrow or a poet's poetry if they penetrate the heart but do not cause the head to spin? Tomara Shakti Bina Jiverana Ebani Tumi Shakti Diya Kahao Hena Anumani. Without your mercy, such poetic expressions would be impossible for an ordinary living being to write. My guess is that you have given him the power. Without your mercy, who's speaking? Do you remember? Who is praising? Like an ocean of praise is Ramananda Rai. And he's speaking to Mahaprabhu. He's saying, without your mercy, such poetic expressions would be impossible for an ordinary living being to write. It's not possible at all. My guess is that you have given him the power. So now we begin tomorrow here with Mahaprabhu's reply to Ramananda Rai. How beautiful. Even though we have so little touch of anything, about this, still we're finding it so very wonderful to hear this. Haribol, Sai Shri Caitanya Charitamrta ki jai. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj ki jai. Srila Om Vishnupad A. C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Any questions or comments at all? Here we have Sri Sri Upadesamrta. We are so fortunate to be studying. Can I have one of those too, Prabhu? I forgot to take one. To be studying Upadesamrta. And even like if we even had only the first verse, it is such a great help to us to begin to recognize what's going on in my conditioned life. If something is wrong or something is being done wrong repeatedly, or some behavior is disturbing, but we have to recognize what can be done through surrender and not through anger, for example. Anger is really kind of messes up things. So when the Acharya, when like the great Acharya shows some anger, this is like forget the expression, but it is, they are being made to do that through their surrender. Krishna wants the disciple to see some anger to help them to go progress. But when real anger comes, then we have to examine ourselves, because that is Krodha Vegam. So we have to examine ourselves. Why has this anger come to me? What is the problem with me? Why has this dissatisfaction come to me? And we can, even when it's in relation to like the puja or something being done incorrectly, but we have to keep our mood of surrender under all circumstances, and continue to consult with the inner indwelling Lord. How these circumstances come, how shall I be? What shall I do? And this is good for me, and I want to know what is my seva. Because there is no question of controlling all these vegam without surrender. Not possible. There's no question of anything happening properly without surrender. It will not be a complete understanding or service or anything. Surrender is our relationship with the Lord. And it is the essence and the Bhakatera Prana. So we want to keep reading these verses because they are really helpful. They will come in our mind when we need them to. And we can bow down, and then bow down some more. So we can start now. Jai Srila Rupa Goswami Pad Ki Jai. We're so fortunate we're hearing this, these verses about the Lalita Madhava and the Vidagdha Madhava, and the examination by Srila Ramananda Rai, and his extreme praise of these transcendental, river of nectar. That's, and hearing about, seeing Rupa Goswami's extreme shyness, very gentle. And now given this powerful book, Sri Upadesamrta, that has come from the pen of Srila Rupa Goswami. For us, could we believe this? This is too much to believe. Okay, let's start. Bacho, without looking, as far as possible. And I know you've memorized through number 4 at least.
No, until number 3 only.
Was there a stick here? I think you were going to bring me a stick today. No. Anyways, before tonight, we'll know number 4. Right? Vacho vegam manasa krodha vegam, jiva vegam udara pasta vegam, etan vegan yo vishaheta dhira, sarvam apimam prativim sasisyat. The urge of?
The mind.
First, vacho vegam.
Vacho is the urge of the speech.
Yeah.
Then the urge of
Manasa vegam.
Manasa,
Krodha vegam, big one. Jiva vegam, very big. Jiva vegam. So when we sing Sarira Vidya Jalja Tendriya Karika, this jiva, this tongue is so difficult to control. Jiva vegam, udara pasta vegam, meaning?
belly and genitals.
So etan vegan yo vishaheta dhira sarvam apimam. A sober person who can control all these urges can instruct the entire world. How does one become sober? Only through surrender. No other way. Atyahara prayasascha prajalpo niyamagraha janasangas chaloyam cha. I'm sorry, we'll do it again together. Atyahara prayasascha prajalpo niyamagraha janasangas chaloyam cha sadbir bhakti. Vinashati.
Vinashati.
Are you okay? Okay? Over-accumulation.
Over endeavor, unnecessary talk, misapplication of the rules, association with non-devotees, and fickle-minded.
Yeah, very good. So we also don't want to associate with the non-devotee part of a devotee. We don't want to get into gossip and whipping up all these negative mental things and getting them all worked up. So we try, I mean, we can, of course, if someone wants to tell us something that's disturbing, or we want to also express that, we can certainly give sympathy and discuss these things, no doubt. But that it is for the purpose of progress in service. Utsaha nishayadayat tatat karma pravartanat sangatyagat sato vrite sabir bhakti prasidyati. Then?
Enthusiasm, utsaham, conviction, nishayat, perseverance, dhairya.
Good.
Tatat karma pravartana, meaning engaging in favorable activities. Sangatyagat, renouncing to
Bad association. And?
Tyagat is renouncing, right?
Right. And?
And then sato virte is following the conduct of great souls. And the sati bhakti prasidyati. Bhakti is being nourished by these 6 qualities.
Very good. Bhakti is being nourished by those 6 qualities: enthusiasm, patience, and conviction, and following the footsteps of the great souls. We're always looking to their conduct. Dadati pratigrahnati guhyam makyati pritchati bhunkte bo jayate chaiva sadvidam pritilakshanam. Giving and accepting gifts, discussing and inquiring about confidential matters, and giving and partaking of foods are the 6 characteristics of love. Krishneti yasya giritam manasadriyeta dikshasti chet pranati bischa bhajantam isham shushushaya bhajanam vigyam ananyamanya nindati sunya hridam ipsita shangalabdya. Honor within the mind those who chant Krishna's name. But again, not Krishna's name as a sahajya, or this is not the name which is being referred to here. It is an innocent, sincere, honoring, respectful chanting of the name of Krishna.
How about someone that is chanting the holy names of Krishna without coming in contact with the devotees? For example, I saw somewhere that chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is going to help me be more joyful. Should we honor those people within the mind?
Yes, but we can. I mean, we don't know the hearts of everyone. We know that certainly we don't want to go around any sahajyas or Mayavadis or Buddhists who think that chanting the name will help them to erase all existence. But someone who's innocently chanting, I mean, we were chanting, I was chanting the Maha Mantra for about 6 months before I met the devotees. And I didn't know why I was doing it. But something caught my attention and I started chanting. But I didn't know very much about it. So I can just say that from my own subjective experience. But I wasn't trying to chant the name of Krishna for some bad purpose. But I shouldn't give myself as an example, I suppose. I just know about me, but we don't know everybody's heart. And, it can be very purifying if someone is not doing that for an offensive reason. And that's what Guru Maharaj is saying.
Didi, I'm thinking about how I met the devotees. I was living for over 10 years, very close to the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrta temple in Ecuador. For 10 years. And Puri Maharaj and Srimati Didi.
But you don't have a... They can hear you? Okay.
Yeah, I'm
Maybe you can move closer or something, I don't know.
Here's another microphone.
Okay.
Dandavat. So I was telling Sri Lekha D.D about how I met the devotees in Ecuador. Living over 10 years, almost right next to a Sri Chaitanya Charitamrta temple in Ecuador, and I didn't know. So my question is, since the devotees in Ecuador, they chant every day, like every
so you
day.
were hearing that?
I never heard it.
Oh.
But probably that transcendental vibration, maybe that affected the jiva soul. So maybe that's why 11 years after I moved there, I eventually met the devotees. So this it has nothing to do with verse 5. I just thought it was interesting.
Well, it's also not an accident that you were living there. And it's not that everyone who was living in that area for 10 years joined the temple. So there is some, maybe something from your past life that you were somehow drawn to that. And many, many factors are there. Agyata Sukriti.
Sukriti.
And so many things.
Okay. Yeah, so it's, well, my question then was like, if it was Sukriti or is it the influence of the holy name on the jiva?
Well, that's there too, and that is also Sukriti.
Okay.
Yeah. Honor within the mind those who chant Krishna's name. Honor with obeisance those who are initiated and serve the Lord. And honor with service those who are expert in devotion, who are exclusively devoted, whose hearts are free from the duality of criticizing and praising, meaning the mundane qualities of others, and who are the most desirable association. Okay, so now we're reading the commentary by Srila Guru Maharaj
Jai.
on
Jai Mahaprabhu.
verse 6. So, Jai Shishi Guru Gaurachandra Giraju Ki Jai.
Jai.
So I forgot, we are on verse 6 now. Drishtai Svabhava Janite Vapushascha Doshe Na Prakritatvam Miha Bhakta Janasya Pasyet Gangam Vasamna Kalu Buddha Pena Bhankar Brahmatravatvam Apagachati Niradharmai. Do not consider devotees in this world mundane because of faults in their nature or body. The water of the Ganges never loses its spiritual nature because of bubbles, foam, and mud, which are natural in water.
Are we reading the commentary on verse 6 now?
Page 124 in the book, yes, on verse 6.
All right. This is this is going to be a nourishing one, I can tell.
Jai, Srila Bhakti Sundar, Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai.
Jai.
Of course, Srila Bhakti Sundar, Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai.
Jai.
They are not separable. The water of the Ganges can purify, even if bubbles or mud can be found within it. The bubbles and mud cannot stand in the way of purification, because it's not the mundane or perceivable water that is the purifying agent of the Ganges. It is a divine nectarian current. So in a devotee who is meant only for the good of the universe, if we find some mud or bubbles, that they are angry, blind, or lame. If we attribute that to their inner self, then we are the losers. We commit offenses. Arrogance may be of two types: arrogance toward the higher and arrogance toward the lower. With goodwill, if a mother seems to be arrogant in dealing with her child, then we know that such arrogance is good for the child. Such apparent arrogance should not be considered real arrogance, or the arrogance of a passerby who comes to punish the child. If there is affectionate dealings, then there may be some, she's going to show that she is dominating over that child, but that is for his good. A devotee may seem to become angry for minor causes, but that anger should not be classified as ordinary anger. That anger will do good to the persons with whom they are angry. So there's the anger that's just the ego reacting to a circumstance. But when these great souls show anger, that is a different matter altogether. And I can tell you a story. My daughter Kishori, and I know I've told this before, but she was serving as a Gurudev's nurse in the last little while of his divine pastimes here. And one time, Srila Gurudev became very, very angry with someone and was shouting, and Kishori became quite alarmed. And then afterwards, right away, she came and took his pulse because she was concerned about that. And his pulse was completely calm. And that really struck her, that the Guru is showing anger for the sake of the disciple. But he is not in himself controlled by anger. Do you see the difference? Oh, you're looking at the book there?
No, I was not looking at the book.
Could you?
Yes.
Okay. Sriman Mahaprabhu was angry sometimes when Mahaprabhu was going on with kirtan behind closed doors. A brahmachari who was drinking only milk, taking nothing else, wanted to enter. I must be considered the purest. I drink only milk and nothing else. So why have they closed the doors against me? When at last the doors were open, he exclaimed, "Why was the door closed against me?" Mahaprabhu showed anger at that time and replied, "To drink milk is no qualification for Krishna consciousness." So that's an example of Mahaprabhu showing anger. But that is to give instruction, not only to that person, but to all of us much later. A tantric once put some wine and other things at the door of Srivas Thakur during the night to ridicule him, so that everybody will say, "Oh, Srivas Thakur is drinking wine." In the morning, Srivas opened his door and he saw all these nasty things, wine, meat, and other items, and went to his good neighbors. "Please see here how I'm a tantric. Every night with the help of this meat and wine, I worship the goddess Kali." The local gentleman felt very disturbed and wondered, who is the rogue that has done all these things? When Mahaprabhu was informed, he was very much enraged. That man must suffer. That was Chapal Gopal, and he had contracted leprosy a few days later. When Mahaprabhu within a few days later, when Mahaprabhu returned to Navadvip after taking sannyas, Chapal Gopal fell at the Lord's feet. Mahaprabhu forgave him, and he became a devotee. So all of these things, Mahaprabhu was showing so much anger, but in the end, Chapal Gopal was benefited. But after some lesson, he wanted to defame Srivas Thakur out of envy. He wanted people to think he was a tantric, a worshipper of Kali with disgusting things. And Srivas was not disturbed. He just said, "Oh, look, I've become a tantric." But Mahaprabhu was very disturbed. In this world, anger sometimes is shown by the incarnation of God himself and sometimes by devotees also, but that is not harmful. It is for the good of the person. So the excitement found in a devotee should be taken in the proper way and not as ordinary anger. So when this verse is describing the faults, one should not mistake these so-called faults in the nature of a great devotee as being something which is a contaminant in his very nature. That is quite a different thing altogether, and not to be mistaken about that. Now, we're not considering ourselves to be great devotees, and sometimes we just get angry because it's just the way we deal with life. Sataninda namna paramam aparatam vitanute. In the beginning of taking the name, the first warning is there. Be aware of your association with the sadhus. They are your well-wishers to the utmost. Really, they are agents that carry good things to you. Be very alert and do not commit any wrong against them. Do not misunderstand them. Their goodness is beyond your understanding. They love you so much. You cannot love yourself that much because they see you as the property of the Lord. They love you more than you can love you. From that standpoint, they love you. That means from the highest standpoint, from the standpoint of the ultimate good and truth. That love is most high in quality and quantity. So always be careful. Do not commit any wrong toward them. That is the, Srila Prabhupada said that, he would emphasize this, that so many faults can be forgiven, but the mad elephant offense, it is very, very difficult to overcome that. Like when an elephant is mad, gone crazy, and he comes into any situation, he just ruins it. So Prabhupada was saying, this offense to the great soul, the great devotees, that can ruin your devotional creeper. Jari Vaishnava aparada ute hati mata, upade vajinde tara shuki jaya pata. If any great crime somehow comes up against them, then the whole thing will be demolished because the Lord will be enraged. They may not be enraged, like Srivas Thakur. He wasn't enraged by that nasty business. Prabhu, can you sit properly, or are you in trouble of some kind? Srila Prabhupada would always do that. You can hear it. If you ever hear any of his classes, he'd say, sit properly.
Yeah, I've heard it.
We have to sit in a way that our concentration is maximized.
Yeah, for some reason in that way I concentrate more.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I think I should work on this.
Oh, I see. If any great crime somehow comes up against them, then the whole thing will be demolished. You hear that? If any great crime somehow comes up against them, then the whole thing will be demolished because the Lord will become enraged.
I'm not looking.
You are kicking those who come to give you the greatest wealth. What is this? You are the most wretched. We must be very careful about the first type of namarad, sadhu ninda. There is a verse by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Vaishnava charitra, sarvada pavitra, jai ninde hingsakari, bhakti vinoda na sambase tare, take sada mauna dari. The character of a Vaishnava is always very pure. If anyone out of motive cruelly speaks ill of them, then Bhaktivinoda will not talk to them. he will keep silent. If anyone comes to abuse a Vaishnava, then we will show full non-cooperation. Just don't speak with that person. Srila Guru Maharaj said, Bhaktivinoda Thakur will stay silent, but Srila Bhaktisiddhanta will not stay silent. He will fight against them. Still, we sometimes go to judge the cases of others. Why should they receive causeless mercy? They have so many defects and disqualifications. Why should they be accepted or given any chance? Yet at the same time we pray for ourselves, O Lord, do not come to judge me. Then I will have no hope. Please grant me your grace, my Lord. Then I can have the hope of approaching you. I can only make progress through you if you become very lenient toward me and not find fault in me. But for other people, oh, they're so bad. Why are they getting any mercy? But at the same time, in the same breath, we wonder, why should this man who is disqualified get any grace? Why should he get any mercy or affection? That is hypocritical for us and causes a great deal of difficulty within us. It causes difficulty within us. We can lose our devotional mood that way. We don't need to look at what others are doing. If we have the grace of getting some seva, and we can appreciate that, that's all we need. We don't need to be looking in anyone else's window. That is hypocritical for us and causes a great deal of difficulty for us. It is suicidal. Such is Vaishnava Ninda, Vaishnava Aparad. The Lord will gradually purify those that are accepted by Him, yet we are very eager to point out the faults in them. This is very dangerous for our own progress. It is suicidal. For our own case, we want something higher, but in the case of others, we cannot tolerate this same behavior of the Lord toward them. That is a very difficult position. We need to be on our guard for this. We need to be on our guard about this matter, because it can really destroy our devotional mood. Generally, it is this that is the basis of Vaishnava Aparad. If we give much attention to the difficulties still left in those who have been accepted by the Lord and are being gradually purified by Him, very particularly those difficulties come to our attention. And what is the result? The result is that those difficulties are transferred to us. Guru Maharaj said in another place, if we eat the bad qualities of others, then those qualities will be in us. If we eat their weaknesses, always eating that, always seeing that, then those difficulties, we're eating that. That's going to become part of us. But if we are always eating the good qualities of others, always like being nourished by that, then those good qualities will come to us. He said this is a very important principle. So we have to be careful about our own self. And if we're constantly chewing on the weaknesses of others, I don't mean as a teacher. Sometimes a teacher or manager or something like that has to correct something. That's their business. But if they're not with envy, but for the good of that person, then there's no fault in that. But if that is done for no reason, there's not our job to do that, then it will be hypocrisy. And we have to become a little bit aware about that, because our own devotional mood will go down, and we will think, oh, it's their fault that I'm losing my enthusiasm. No, it's my fault. This is the reality of experience in this line. If we mark especially the fault of another devotee, that fault will be transferred to us. It happens. In my experience and in the scriptures also, I have seen this. So we must be very careful, generally, not to make any remark about the practices and activities of other Vaishnavas. If we're having some difficulty, if somebody is doing something egregiously wrong in the temple and it is causing some disturbance, we can talk to someone about it, but talk to someone who knows how to manage that, not to someone who can become equally disturbed like us. And then it causes, we're actually sharing our problems with others. But we should talk to someone who can actually point out a better way of looking at it, or maybe they have to deal with the situation. Certainly sometimes things are going on that are disturbing in the temple. And outside the temple, don't go looking in other people's windows. We are associating with the best part of everyone in the temple. Who, when they come to the temple, it is always the best part of that person. So this is one thing that I object to personally about social media. We are trying to give up bad association, but we are sometimes associating with the not the weak part of others through social media instead of the very best part of others through only, sometimes on social media there is the best part from the temples and the lectures and things like that. But not to get into the mundane area of our friends. This will also, is just as mundane as associating with the mundane of anyone. Maybe even more dangerous in some ways. So we want to be with the best part of our friends and encourage that and not have a big party through the faults of our friends. We are neither condemning the faults or meditating on them, nor are we participating in those faults. Both of those things will be harmful for us. It's just harmful. Jai Shri Shri Upadesamrta ki jai, Srila Rupa Goswami Pad ki jai.
Jai.
Hari Bol. Okay. Oh, can you give me some cartels, Prabhu? Any questions or comments anywhere?
Haribo.
All right. Hari Haraye Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha. Govinda Ram Shimadhusudana. Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mokhana. Sri Caitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra. Dadhara Shiva Sari Gauravata Vrinda. Jaya Rupa Sanatan Padara Gunata. Shri Jiva Gopala Patala Saragunata. Jai Gosai Gori Charana Vandana. Jai Devi Nana Shari Sapurana.
Ekacharana se vivakta sanivasa. Janame janame morae abhinasa. Echai gosare jave vrate koilavasa. Radha Krishna Nitya Leela Gaura Prakasha. Anande Volukari Vaja Vrindavana. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Madhaita Mana. Guru Vaishnava Pada Brahma Koriyasa. Hari Nama Sankirtana Kohe Narodamanasa. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
Jai Sapai Kashti Guru Gaur Chandu Ki
Jai.
Jai Shri Guru Gaur Ki
Jai.
Jai Vishnupada Paramahamsa Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki
Jai.
Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Srila Bhakti Rakha Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki
Jai.
Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai
Jai.
Shri Chaitanya Charitamrta Acharya Vrinda Ki
Jai.
Kol Kartal Ki Jai
Jai.
Sankirtan Ki Jai
Jai.
Chaitanya Saraswat Ki Jai
Jai.
Chaitanya SCSMission Ki Jai
Jai.
Samaveda Vaishnava Mandala Ki
Jai.
Jai Samaveda Vrinda Ki Jai
Jai.
Srimati Tulsi Devi Ki Jai
Jai.
Nitai Gaur Prema
Haribo.
and Vadasi Srimati today Ki
Jai.
Jai
Srimati Sri Lekha D.D ki Jai.
Ki Jai
Bhima Krishna Prabhu says Dandavat, good morning. Ganga Leela D.D. He's been very active and present in the chat today.
What was that?
Ganga Leela D.D. has been present and active on the chat today, this morning.
Active means
Meaning like helping us improve the sound, giving us feedback.
very much appreciated.
And Bhakti Boni as well,
Oh,
offering her Dandavat. And Kumkum Devi as well.
Dandavat and Sri Devika also, and all the sweethearts over there. Dandavat, Dandavat, Jai Gurudev.
Dandavat to everyone. Have a glorious day.
What?